All right. Hi, I'm Mrs. Roberts.
Oh,
It's nice to meet you.
nice meeting you.
Have a seat. Are you guys ready for the holidays?
Getting there.
Oh my gosh, I have so much shopping left to do.
I did all mine online.
Well, you can see around the room we've been getting ready for the holidays. We have our countdown over there.
Uh-huh.
The kids are getting really excited. Well, I really enjoy having Finley in the class. She is an absolute joy. She's very funny. She likes to tell a lot of silly stories and get everyone laughing.
I bet. She's a clown.
She can be a clown. Well, I want to share with you today how Finley's doing in class and show you some examples of her work. Feel free to ask any questions along the way if you come up with any. Let's start with reading. So when it comes to reading in first grade, the way we keep track of how students are doing is we use the FAST assessments. And there's a few different category areas that we take a look at, and then we look at an overall composite score. Now the reason that we look at different areas is because success in reading is made up of many different skills, and it's important that students are strong in each area in order to gain the skills that they need. Right now they're learning to read, but later they're going to be reading in order to learn. So we need them to be able to work on these different areas in order to make that possible for them. So the first area that we look at is sight words. And the reason sight words are important is they are the words that students are able to identify just upon seeing them right away. They don't have to take the time to sound them out. So we take a look at how many words students can sound in under a minute, and that gives us an idea of how quickly they're able to see the word, say the word. So when we looked at that, the goal that we have for first graders in the fall is for them to get 20 words. And you'll see many goals across the different areas I've written across the top here. And the reason that we have those goals is because it helps us identify students that will need a little extra support, because we want to make sure and not leave any students behind, and we want to make sure that they're making those goals by the end of the year so that they're ready then for second grade. So this is our initial assessment. And as I said, our goal was 20, and Finley did 15 of those words. So not bad, but it is an area that she's going to probably need to work a little extra on. Some things I'm going to be doing in the classroom to work on those is we're going to have develop a flashcard system. And then I'd also like to set up the system to where they can take those home and work on them with their families and come back. And hopefully we can strengthen that skill in a lot of different students. The next area is called word segmenting. Now, word segmenting helps us to focus on the fact that language is made up of individual sounds. So when we ask students to do word segmenting, we give them words and we ask them to tell us what sounds make up those words. So for instance, if I were to ask Finley what sounds make up the word bat, she would say b, at. So when we looked at those, our goal there is 26, and you can see that Finley is doing fantastic. She is right where we want her to be. She's exactly at 26. We can use that area to keep moving forward and develop her skills throughout the year. The next area that we look at is nonsense words. Now, nonsense words sort of works in the opposite way of word segmenting. So instead of asking students to break down words into their individual sounds, now we're asking students to identify those sounds and then put them back together to blend. So when you hear people talking about students blending words in order to read, that's what we're talking about. So they're sounding them out. Now, we feel that the best way to do that is to give them words that use the same rules as the words that you and I would use, but they're not actual words. So for instance, if I were to have the word G-A-K, and we wouldn't normally use the word gack in everyday language, but students can see that and they can use what they know and put those together. Now, the goal there for us is for students to be able to successfully read 9 of those words in the fall, their first grade year. Finley is at a 12, so she absolutely understands sounding out words, and she's doing an excellent job. It's exactly where we want her to be. And finally, the last category that we look at in the fall in first grade is sentence reading. So the students are given an assessment where each page has an individual sentence on it, and the students would read the sentence, and then we would then flip to the next sentence, and so on and so forth. So they're reading one sentence at a time, and we would want to test that proficiency. Now, in the fall, we ask that students are able to identify successfully read 18 sentences. This is an area that was a little bit more tough for Finley. She's at a 6, so this is definitely an area of concern for us, but there are many things that we can do in the classroom to offer support, and we have also suggestions for things you guys can do at home, so we can work together on this. And then if we take a look here at the composite score, that's the overall score of how well Finley is doing. Our class average was 34, and our goal is 34, and Finley, she's just right, almost there. She's at a 33. So despite having a couple struggling areas, she's really not far behind where we need her to be, and I'm confident that we can get her where she needs to be by the end of the year especially. Do you have any questions about any of these?
No.
No questions? Okay, well let me just kind of also explain another reason why we do these different assessments is so that we can identify, or I can identify in the classroom ways that I can adjust my instruction. Students who need extra support might benefit from some small group work where I can focus, maybe during like an independent reading time, I could take certain groups aside and work on skills and help them build those so that they can then catch up to where they need to be. So what I would suggest for Finley is definitely, we're going to be working with some flashcards, and like I said, I'm going to be creating a set that we can send home on a weekly basis for students. And then we're going to make that a part of our morning routine in the classroom, so that not only do we have students who are maybe a little further behind working on that, but we also are still working on them as a group. So we're still staying together on this. And then I really think that when students build the skills in the sight words, it's going to definitely benefit their sentence reading, because like I said, sight words are words that they can identify as soon as they look at them. They don't have to stop, they don't have to sound them out. And then the other important thing that I want to stress is that it's also important not just to get students to recognize the sight words, but also talk about what they mean, so that when they are reading, they know what they're reading. So that's going to boost their comprehension. And like I said, that will benefit them later when they get to the point where they're, instead of learning to read, they're reading to learn. So they can take those areas in math and science and different things that they're reading about and be able to build their knowledge using their reading skills. And so I really think that when we work on the sight words, that we can also increase skills in other areas as well. And we'll really see an increase with Finley with that. And then lastly, the other thing that you can do is, if you're at the grocery store or driving down the street, definitely point out those words. Encourage her to look for words on boxes or shelves or signs that she sees, and then talk about, how she could use those words in a sentence, and really just experiment. And then also just reading with her regularly can also help. So she can gain more, she can identify those because she can gain more experience in seeing those words and hearing them used. Okay, any other questions you have for me about that?
I don't think so.
Do you have any concerns, areas?
Nope.
No? Okay, well, I'm going to do the best that I can to help Finley reach those goals, and I'll be in contact with you also. I want to start a newsletter. So before you leave, if you want to add your email address to the list outside the door, I can send those newsletters out and keep everybody connected. And if you ever have any concerns, any questions, please don't hesitate. You can call me, you can email me, and I will make sure you get all of my contact information.
That sounds good.
All right, well, thank you so much for meeting with me.
Thank you.